Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Gopi Chanda Balava Srivaridhari Gopi Chanda Balava Srivaridhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balava Srivaridhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sri Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading today from Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 6, text number 12. And the chapter is called what? The Demigods and the demons declare a truce. Yes. Right. Yatagnim enashamritam chagoshu Bhuvanam ambu mane cha vritim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Buddheshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Yatagnin edas yamritam chagoshu. Bhuvanam ambudya mane cha vrittim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Gudeshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Yatagnim edas yamritam chaikoshu. Bhuvanam ambudya mane cha vrittim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Kudeshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Yatagnim edas yamritam chagoshu. Bhuvanam ambudya mane cha vrittim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Gudeshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Yatagnim edas yamritam chagoshu. Bhuvanam ambudya mane cha vrittim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Gudeshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Yatagnim edas yamritam chagoshu. Bhuvanam ambudya mane cha vrittim. Yogair manusha ariyanti hi twam. Gudeshu budhya kavayo vadanti. Word for word, synonyms. Yata, as. Agnim, fire. Edasi, in wood. Amritam, milk which is like nectar. Cha, and. Goshu, from cows. Bhuvi, on the ground. Anam, food grains. Ambu, water. Ujamane, an enterprise. Cha, also. Vritim, livelihood. Yogai, a practice of bhakti yoga. Manushaha, human beings. Ariyanti, achieve. He, indeed. Tvam, you. Guneshu, in the material modes of nature. Buddhya, by intelligence. Kavayaha, great personality. Vadanti, say. A little slow. As one can derive fire from wood, milk from the milk bag of a cow, food grains and water from the land, and prosperity in one's livelihood from industrial enterprises, so by the practice of bhakti yoga, even within this, achieve your favor or intelligently approach you. Those who are pious all affirm this. Repeat after me. As one can derive fire from wood, milk from the milk bag of a cow, food grains and water from the land, and prosperity in one's livelihood from industrial enterprises, so by the practice of bhakti yoga, even within this material world, one can achieve your favor or intelligently approach you. Those who are pious all affirm this. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is nirguna, not to be found within the material world, the entire material world is pervaded by Him. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Maya tatam idam sarvam. The material world is nothing but an expansion of the Lord's material energy, and the entire cosmic manifestation rests upon Him. Matsani sarva bhutani. Nonetheless, the Supreme Lord cannot be found here. Not chahang tvesh avastitaha. A devotee, however, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the practice of bhakti yoga. One originally does not begin to practice bhakti yoga. One ordinarily does not begin to practice bhakti yoga until he has practiced it in previous births. These we call practice in previous births. Moreover, one can begin bhakti yoga only by the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna. Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Bija. The seed of devotional service is obtained by the mercy of Guru, the spiritual master, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only by the practice of bhakti yoga can one achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and see Him face to face. Primanjana Chorita Bhakti Vilochanena Santat Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. One cannot see the Lord by other means, other methods, such as karma, jhana, or yoga. Under the direction of the spiritual master, one must cultivate bhakti yoga, shravanam, kirtanam, Vishnu smaranam, padasevanam, hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on. Then, even within this material world, although the Lord is not visible, a devotee can see Him. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktimam Avijanati Yavan Yas Chasni Tatvataha. And in the Srimad-bhagavatam, Bhaktyaham ekaya grayaha. Thus, by devotional service, one can achieve the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he is not visible or understandable to materialistic persons. That's by devotional service. In this verse, the cultivation of Bhakti Yoga is compared to many material activities. By friction, one gets fire from wood. Like rubbing two sticks together. By digging the earth, one can get food grains and water, and by agitating the milk bag of the cow, one can get nectarian milk. Milk is compared to nectar, which one can drink to become immortal. Of course, simply drinking milk will not make one immortal, but it can increase the duration of one's life. In modern civilization, men do not think milk to be important, and therefore they do not live very long. Wow. Although in this age men can live up to 100 years, their duration of life is reduced because they do not drink large quantities of milk. How about that? This is a sign of Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga, instead of drinking milk, people prefer to slaughter an animal and eat its flesh. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his instructions of Bhagavad Gita, advises Go Raksha, which means cow protection. The cows should be protected. Milk should be drawn from the cows, and this milk should be prepared in various ways. One should take ample milk, and thus one can prolong one's life, develop his brain, execute devotional service, and ultimately attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As it is essential to get food grains and water by digging the earth, it is also essential to give protection to the cows and take nectarian milk from their milk bags. The people of this age are inclined toward industrial enterprises for comfortable living, but they refuse to endeavor to execute devotional service by which they can achieve the ultimate goal of life by returning back home, back to Godhead. Unfortunately, it is said that te vidus swarta gatim hi Vishnu Durashaya ye bahir arta maninaha. People without spiritual education do not know that the ultimate goal of life is to go back home, back to Godhead. Forgetting this aim of life, they are working very hard in disappointment and frustration. Mogasha, Moga, Karmano, Moga, Jnana, Vichetasaha. The so-called Vaishyas, the industrialists, or the businessmen are involved in big industrial enterprises, but they are not interested in food grains and milk. However, as indicated here, by digging for water, even in the desert, we can produce food grains. However, as indicated here, by digging for water, even in the desert, we can produce food grains. When we produce food grains and vegetables, we can give protection to the cows, which give protection. While giving protection to the cows, we can draw from them abundant quantities of milk, and by getting enough milk and combining it with food grains and vegetables, we can prepare hundreds of nectarian foods. We can happily eat this food and thus avoid industrial enterprises and joblessness. Agriculture and cow protection are the way to become sinless and thus be attracted to devotional service. Those who are sinful cannot be attracted by devotional service. as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 28. We just quoted this the other day. Yeshan tvanta gatan papam janana punya karmanam tedvanta mohanir mukta bhajate mang dritaha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, whose sinful actions are completely eradicated and who are freed from the duality of delusion, engage themselves in my devotional service with determination. End quote. The majority of people in this age of Kali are sinful, short-living, unfortunate, and disturbed. Manda sumanda mateo manda bhagya. For them, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has advised, Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kulo, Nashteva, 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 Katir, Anyataha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, and there's no other way. 3 times for emphasis. Om Jnana Timirandasha Ganajana Shalakaya Chakshuru Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So on this purport. So, well, okay, one point is that we, if we are practicing Krishna consciousness, Bhakti Yoga now, we, in all probability, were practicing previously. That's why devotees, everyone, some devotees come, they join the movement, and are very active and very just like second, becomes like second nature pretty much very early on. and then others come and try and struggle and maybe back and forth and back outside of ISKCON or outside of practicing Bhakti Yoga and then back in again like that. So why? Because previously, previous lifetime or previous lifetimes, more lifetimes, we have, to some degree, we have practiced some Bhakti Yoga. And the more that we practice in the past, then the more easy it is in this lifetime to continue on. Which is an important point, of course, because whatever practice of Bhakti Yoga we do, and we've done in the past, has gone into our spiritual bank account. Spiritual bank account. Not like a Bank of America bank account or a Regions Bank bank account. Those are temporary. Even if you put so much in there, but when you die, you can't take it with you. We come with nothing, we leave with nothing. So, but spiritual bank account means it's never lost. So if we've made some spiritual progress in a previous lifetime, then when our time comes, which may not be necessarily the very beginning of this lifetime, maybe not be, may be or may not be, but when our time comes in this lifetime to take up Krishna consciousness, then we start off where we left off. We start with whatever progress. So that's why for some devotees it's easier when they take up Krishna consciousness in this lifetime. It's relatively easy. Things just kind of fall into place. And for others, it may be a big struggle. But maybe those who are struggling now, if they stay with it, maybe next lifetime, if they don't finish now, they'll continue on and at a higher level, like that. So whatever, And then the question is, or a question is, if why, if we were practicing Bhakti Yoga previously, why aren't we aren't continue and start practicing in this life, as soon as we're born, or as soon as we're, from childhood. And that does happen sometimes, but if we don't, then why? Well, we probably gave it up previously because of some sinful activity or some offense of some sort, and we had to wait until some point in our life. Sometimes it means very early in the life. Sometimes it means a little bit later. Sometimes it's not until the end of the latter part of our life. That due to some kind of offense previously, then we found some difficult situation. Or sometimes you see a devotee they want to practice Krishna consciousness, but they're born with some kind of, or they're somehow in their lifetime there's certain like a mental health issue or something. It makes it very hard for them to even function in society. So it also makes it hard to stay steady and practice Krishna consciousness. But all that also is ultimately because of some previous sin or some previous offense of some sort. But in any case, the spiritual benefit is never actually lost. So it's a question of when we are able to take up the process seriously, and at that point we will continue where we left off. And Arjuna actually asked that question in Bhagavad Gita. He says, "My dear Lord Krishna, what happens to?" He was also concerned. He's feeling himself. Arjuna is a pure devotee of Krishna, but he's feeling himself not on that level. So he's asking Lord Krishna, who's encouraging him to engage in practice of yoga, Bhakti Yoga. But my dear Lord Krishna, what happens to the yogi, he says, who at the end of his life, or before the end of his life, he gives up the path of yoga? What will happen to him? He'll be just like a riven cloud that just, you look at clouds, they kind of fall apart at time. So we'd be like that, and everything that he did was lost, or what happens? So Lord Krishna explains that there are two possibilities. One possibility, if he gave up the practice of Bhakti Yoga, and after a little bit of practice, relatively little practice, then still it's not lost, and he's done some very good activities by that practice that he did. So his next birth, he can either take birth in a good family. Good family means like aristocratic family, or a family that's got some money, or a situation where he's not struggling day by day just to survive. And if he's not struggling, then it'll be easier for him to concentrate on higher activities, higher knowledge, because his life is not totally just trying to, where's my next meal going to come from, like that. So that's one possibility. Another possibility, if he left the practice of yoga early on, then he can go to the heavenly planets. Because if he left, it was probably because he was attracted to some kind of sense gratification. So he has an opportunity to go to the heavenly planets, where he lives for, relative to Earth years, he lives for a long time, thousands of years, or maybe millions of years, depending on which planet he's on. And the quality of enjoyment is something we can't even imagine here. Material enjoyment is much greater. So he has that, for a long period of time, and then in due course of time, he'll use up his pious activities, and he'll come back down to Earth, or an Earth-like planet, like that. So, and it's very difficult in heavenly planets to really make a lot of spiritual advancement, because even though everyone's in the mode of goodness, the facility for sense gratification is extraordinary, and it's actually distracting. It's a distraction for spiritual life. So when you come back down to the Earth planet, then there's that opportunity. So when he falls back down to the Earth planet, and he still has his results, his spiritual bank account for the yoga practice that he did. Then when his time comes, then he can continue on that path, and because he had maybe gone to the previously had been in the heavenly planets, he had all kinds of facility for sense gratification, and probably ended up feeling frustrated, because that's what it's like. No matter how much sense gratification you have, in the end you're frustrated. So he has some sense like that, and then he comes down, and he can continue on his spiritual life in this lifetime. So the process is like that. It goes on for we progress over many lifetimes. So now we think, and they ask, well, I'm practicing Krishna consciousness now. How many more lifetimes do I have to come back and practice this before I go back to Godhead? Well, it's actually up to us. But we have the Arjuna's question was, what about the yogi who gives up the practice of yoga before the end, before achieving perfection? He quit. And so the process, if you want to go back home, back to Godhead, then we have to not give up the practice of yoga, bhakti yoga in this case, Krishna consciousness. So that's why we commit, with at least at the time of initiation, we're making that commitment that for the rest of my life, I will chant 16 rounds minimum of the Hare Krishna mantra, all my beads, and I will avoid the 4 sinful activities of eating meat, fish, and eggs, having illicit sex, getting intoxicated, and gambling, including the lottery, if anyone plays lottery. We'll give up all these things and chant Hare Krishna, and the trick, not the trick, anyway, if we do these things, the positive things, and avoid the negative things, if we do that and continue like that to the end of our life, practice Krishna consciousness, keeping those basic principles, and to the end of our life, then we have the opportunity, and it's guaranteed. If we actually are practicing to the end of our life, we will go back home, back to Godhead. Shobha said specifically like that. You chant your rounds, the rest. You continue to the end. You follow the 4 regular principles. Continue to the end, and of course, it's not that then you go back home, back to Godhead. And of course, it's not that we're just chanting, because we're in order to follow the regular principles, you got to keep chanting. Otherwise, you don't have the taste for you don't have that higher taste, so we'll never be able to follow the principles. So we've got to keep chanting. And it's not that we just spend, I got 2 hours, more or less, to chant Hare Krishna every day, and the rest of the day doesn't matter what I do, as long as I'm following the principles. Well, still, our kind of, yes and no. in reality, we should, if we're chanting and we're following the principles, then we should be, even though we may have to work, we have job, we have family, we have whatever we have, but we should be still thinking how, in spite of all the other material obligations, how can I do something? Not just chant my rounds and follow the principles, but always be thinking, how can I utilize my situation in this world to become, do something to help give Krishna consciousness to others. We're a preaching movement. This is a preaching movement. So as we are here because somebody told us about Krishna, right? Somebody told us about Lord Krishna. We heard about Lord Krishna somehow. Somebody was preaching. Srila Prabhupada certainly was preaching. That's why we have these books. And so many others were preaching. And so we've gotten started the process. And so we also are duty bound to Srila Prabhupada and to our individual spiritual masters like that, to see how we can give Krishna consciousness to others. And if we are seeing how we can give Krishna consciousness to others, the more that we try to give Krishna consciousness to others, then also the more quickly we advance in spiritual life. Because it's very, one who preaches Krishna consciousness becomes very, very dear to Lord Krishna. And if we're preaching Krishna consciousness and becoming dear to Lord Krishna, then we'll make quick spiritual advancement. And basically, if we have this knowledge, which we have to have, otherwise we won't. If we don't have any of this knowledge from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-bhagavatam, we would have no clue as even to why we should chant Hare Krishna. And if we start feeling, if we have no philosophical understanding why we chant Hare Krishna, why we do what we're doing, then it's just a matter of time, and our mind, which has many ideas about many things, our mind will tell us, start making excuses why we should not be chanting. Oh, you don't need to chant this. You're already Krishna conscious. But even if we were fully Krishna conscious, even if we become pure devotees of Krishna, even if we become like Srila Prabhupada, we become totally Krishna conscious, totally liberated, still, as long as we are in this material world, we need, Srila Prabhupada says we should continue to act, he says, or consider himself like neophyte. And neophyte doesn't mean that you're just, neophyte, like, okay, we're still trying to figure out how to take up the process. Not that kind of neophyte, but neophyte in the sense that we feel we have to feel ourselves. I have to keep chanting. I have to keep following the principles, because and even the purity of the Srila Prabhupada chanted japa. Srila Prabhupada, of course, followed the principles. Srila Prabhupada did everything within his capacity, and which is, of course, different than what we can do. Writing books and preaching Krishna consciousness. That's what he did. And we're reading once in the Srila Prabhupada Nectar book. Srila Prabhupada was, I think it was time for the Srimad-bhagavatam Class or Bhagavad Gita class. Srila Prabhupada was going to give it. He was not feeling well. Srila Prabhupada had, so his body gave him problems, ours gives us problems. So he was not feeling well, and his servant at the time was saying, just, Srila Prabhupada, you're not well, just rest. Somebody else can give the class tonight. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, I have to go, because if I'm here and I don't go down and give the class, then everyone will use that as an excuse. Oh, Srila Prabhupada, he was not feeling well, so he didn't come for the program. So therefore, anytime I'm not feeling well, or I say I'm not feeling well, then I could use the same excuse. I don't have to come to the program. But actually, I guess we can be sick enough that we may not be good. It may not be a good idea to come. But in general, we try, under all circumstances, to be here, come to the morning we have Mongol Arti, very important Mongol Arti, which we have Srimad-bhagavatam Class. So even if we're not feeling well, unless we're just going to contaminate everyone because we're something we've got, we should be here for the program. The Mongol Arti, the classes, basically everything as far as possible, we should try to be here and doing these things, and not only for our benefit, personal, but for as an example for others, which was the point I was trying to make. So even if we become 100% Krishna conscious, we should be 100% Krishna conscious. We don't really need to do anything in terms of bhakti yoga, but as long as we're in the material world, we do need to do it, even if we're fully Krishna conscious, because we need to show the example. Otherwise, someone will decide that I'm already Krishna conscious, and therefore, I've decided that I'm already Krishna conscious, so therefore I don't need to chant my rounds anymore. So we should, even if we are fully Krishna conscious, even if we really are fully Krishna conscious, still for the sake of example, we need to follow the same process as an example for others. If Srila Prabhupada was not chanting japa, if Srila Prabhupada was not reading or reading, he's writing the books, but if he was not doing the things that he's told us to do, then this movement would not have gone anywhere. They'd say, well, it's like so many people in the material world. They say, they may tell others what to do, but they may not show the good example, so that people take it not very seriously. So Srila Prabhupada said, okay, here's the rules and here's the regulations of that you're supposed to be following. If you do this, you'll become Krishna conscious. But if he was not showing the example, everyone would say, well, he's saying like this, but he didn't take it very seriously himself. Then nobody would have taken it seriously. Acharya. So we have to also be acharya. Receive the knowledge from the right source, practice the knowledge, and preach the knowledge. So we're also supposed to be acharya. Maybe not big acharya like Srila Prabhupada, he's an extraordinary case, but we need to be acharya. You say acharya with a little a. There's acharya with a big A, and the acharya with a little a. Acharya. Like that. Wow, there's so much in this purport, and I only touched about one point, and it's 8:27 already. So maybe I have to stop here. Maybe we continue tomorrow on this one. But anyway, any questions, comments?
Srila Prabhupada once said that many of his disciples were born in the West just to wait for him.
Yeah, I heard that. And yes.
They were born in the Western family just to wait for his arrival. This and that.
Yes, and continue.
He created the psychology of the age when the young people were dissatisfied with American traditional system. They were looking for West Eastern philosophies, and that time.
Yes, and Srila Prabhupada said once when he was preaching somewhere, and some lady asked him, she was impressed with what he was saying. He said, "Why didn't you come here earlier?" His answer was, "Because you were not ready." So Srila Prabhupada came. Srila Prabhupada, if Krishna wanted, he could have come, many years before. There's no reason he couldn't have if that was what Krishna wanted. But he came at a time that it was the right time.
His associates come first.
Yes.
They are born sometime in pious family, simple family,
yeah, that's right. Krishna's associates come first, And of course, we are all continuing our path of Krishna consciousness from previous life. So some of the early devotees, maybe I'm a later early devotee too, but came here. But the very early ones were there, looking for something spiritual. And Srila Prabhupada came, and he did comment that you have come here to assist me, and apparently they're still progressing on the path and are still progressing on the path, but they came at that time by Krishna's arrangement to assist Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada also would say that you are all here because my spiritual master has sent all of you to come here and assist me and carry on my service to him, like that. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, just one more about bathing. So it really helps to extend their longevity.
As the Srila Prabhupada says, milk is good for you. I mean, I don't know devotees that say they have problem with milk, drinking milk, health-wise. Yeah.
Some particular cases, there are general cases, but also we have to understand that here we are talking about the pre-industrial society, where milk was one of the most important ingredients.
I can't.
It is describing also the verse is talking about the pre-industrial society.
Pre-industrial, yes.
Industrial society, where cows and milk were the main asset of society.
Yes. Yeah, milk is and milk. And Srila Prabhupada also writes that one should drink milk.
Now we have a more globalized society since the time of the discovery of the West, because at the time of before the discovery, every society ate its own foods. So there were no potatoes in Europe, there were no tomatoes in Europe, there were no mangoes in the West, there were no sugar in the West, there was no corn in Europe. Those foods are specifically from different countries. For example, in the time of Lord Chaitanya, he never ate potatoes or tomatoes. Even though nowadays Indian food it has a lot of tomatoes and potatoes, but that went to India during the time of the Great Discovery. When the European came, they started seeing food, they broke out from the east, they brought horses from America, they sent to India so many things like chili, for example, India no chili, that's not from India. So there is a lot of exchange, But in the industrial society, people didn't eat too much food. In the American Navy, the main source of food was cassava and corn. In India, you don't have potatoes, you don't have tomatoes, you don't have pumpkin, that's African pumpkin. The potatoes are from South America. So they have more limited sources of food. Not like now, we eat things that are grown in China. In Alaska, they eat Caribbean banana. But at that time, it was not like that. Because what you have in your place, you don't have certain kind of food, you never eat it. You don't even know that exists.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. Good point. So, and Srila Prabhupada also says that milk, it says it here too, but it mentions also in the first canto in one purport that milk helps to develop the finer brain tissues that is necessary for understanding spiritual subject matters. It's like that. So there's something special about milk. It's not just, it's a special food. And Srila Shukadev Goswami, who was speaking Srimad-bhagavatam, all he ate or drank was milk. He would travel, walking around. He'd go to householders. They would have, that time everyone has a cow. So he'd go to someone in the morning when they were milking the cow. They would give him some milk, and I think she was a pound or two of milk or something. And he would drink that, and that was his food. It was sufficient. So of course the milk then is not like the milk now, or the milk now is not like it was then. Even the milk, if you have fresh, if you have your own cows now, the milk is not like what you buy in the store. What you buy in the store, they call it whole milk. Yes, that's whole milk means about 3% of the butter fat's left. Skim milk means there's 2% left. But actual whole milk from a cow is very, very rich milk. We had cows in our temples in a different place, so I had experience cooking with real whole milk. It was extraordinary. I mean, actually, you made schools, you had to skim off some of the cream because otherwise they would just dissolve in the water when you cook them because it would be too creamy. But for sweet rice or sand dish, and just milk for Krishna, it was very nice. I think I'm out of time. So we'll end here for today. I think we'll just continue tomorrow with other parts of the purport because this is a very informative purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.